Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host, Nathan P. Butler. Please excuse the scratchy throat. I don't think you can hear it, but God, it hurts. Thankfully though, that's why editing exists, so you don't see me coughing and hacking that post-celebration crapness getting into my system here. This is episode number 102.1. Which basically means that we are taking a look back at those VHDs, those video high-density discs that we saw back when we looked at The Empire Strikes Back. Now that was these, right, that we looked at back in episode number 102. The idea of a VHD being similar to a CED because it is vinyl, but using a different method of actually putting the data on here and pulling the data off so that you can get basically a better quality out of these films. But again, another of these different media that is limited in how much you can fit on either side of a given disc. And as such, the VHD for The Empire Strikes Back, to be non-time compressed, was spread across two different discs, each with two sides, that were in two different caddies, hence two different packages. Well, I thought that it'd be really difficult to eventually get my hands on the other two films. That's why I went ahead and covered The Empire Strikes Back as soon as it came in. Turns out that within the span of just a couple of weeks, I was able to find a seller selling Return of the Jedi, albeit without its little paper insert, on eBay. And when I won that auction, they turned around right afterwards and said, by the way, before we ship this out from Japan to you, we do have the other two films. Would you like to purchase either of those? And sure enough, I jumped on A New Hope, so now I do have a full trilogy set of those VHDs, and want to show you the other two here. We'll start with A New Hope. Again, we're looking at these gigantic, but still not as big as CEDs, sort of floppy disk looking things inside the little slip cases. So we have Victor, VHD, color stereo, Japanese there. We then have number 1 underneath 2, so 1 out of 2, or perhaps 1 two-sided disc. Not sure exactly what they're meaning by the 2 there. We have the Star Wars logo. Down at the bottom, CBS Fox, as was the case with The Empire Strikes Back, but I didn't really call it out in that episode. We have our side, very basic VHD. Your text there with the 1, Star Wars, Victor, and the product number there. On the back, cast and crew information all in English. Pictures, further information all in Japanese as we go down. Then at the bottom, legalese in a mixture of Japanese and English. And then, of course, inside, that's where we're going to find our actual caddy and our insert. We'll look at the insert again in a moment. The VHD looks a lot like the one that we saw for The Empire Strikes Back, right? Basically just white, little sticker label, nothing fancy to it. Star Wars 1, side 2. It's basically all that we're getting here. Nothing special about the label because all the artwork is on that outer sleeve. And then, of course, again, this would pull open when you put it in the system. There's your disc inside the vinyl disc that would play. You'd stick it back in to reload the caddy, and then you would put this back on your shelf inside the slipcase. The insert this time is very much like for The Empire Strikes Back. Black and white, Star Wars there. Again, I won't be able to show you one for Return of the Jedi, unfortunately. You open it up. You got your cast, or your staff and cast information there on one side in English, then in Japanese. All Japanese text with some pictures on the other side. And further Japanese text with pictures of other products on the back. The second disc then, because these are not time compressed, runtime 121 minutes down here. Second disc, same type of sleeve, difference here being the 2 up here, and then it says 2 underneath. Again, could be 2 out of 2, could be 2 and double-sided. Essentially the same back, essentially the same spine, except it says 2 there instead of 1. Slide it out here, no insert, there's only 1 insert per film. And again, pretty much the same thing, except this one says Star Wars and 2 up here, side 1, side 2. Now, what I find interesting is when things change in the development of home video from one format to another, or from one style of a particular format to a different style of that same format. And Return of the Jedi provides a case in point for that when it comes to VHD. Because what they did with Return of the Jedi is essentially had the same approach in 2 different caddies with 2 different discs to be able to have an uncompressed film. But instead of having each of those caddies in a separate slipcase, they had one slipcover that went over both, making for a heavier but more compact package. So Return of the Jedi from 1986 on VHD from Japan is this. Video disc, Return of the Jedi. Notice it actually has Japanese title stuff down at the bottom, which the other ones did not have. There's nothing on here to say like disc 1, disc 2, because both discs are in here. CBS Fox in the corner, Victor down in this corner, along with video disc VHD up there in the top corner. Turn it around. In this case, all Japanese except for some of the legalese, and even that is relatively limited in English. Quite a few more pictures this time. And then your spine, different color this time, video disc, Japanese, 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 Return of the Jedi, VHD, Victor, and product number. And then if you look on the side, you can sort of see that's two, well, it's pretty bright in here, the two VHDs that are stacked together. So I pull them out of here, and I sit down my sleeve, and then there are two of them here. The labels are different this time, though. They've updated them, they made them a little fancier, but still not Return of the Jedi specific, except for the text on it. So we have our banding here that says Video Disc, CBS Fox VHD, Japanese there, Return of the Jedi, 1 here, the other one says 2 there, and then it just says side 1, side 2 down there underneath. But again, nothing fancy on the caddies because the fancy aspect is the slipcover. So if you were a fan in Japan, and that was not meant to rhyme, and in 1983 you wanted to pick up A New Hope, in 1984 you wanted to pick up The Empire Strikes Back, and in 1986 you wanted to pick up Return of the Jedi on VHD, you certainly could. It wasn't a format that lasted very long, but you could have the entire trilogy and your 5 slipcovers right here. Another usually hard to find aspect of the Star Wars home video collecting from Japan. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the home video viewers.